The night Yu Menglong died, something in the air felt wrong. Too still, too quiet, too unnatural. It was a kind of silence that does not comfort. It suffocates. The kind that makes the hairs on your arms rise, because your body senses a truth your eyes cannot see. When news of his sudden death broke at dawn, it shook the industry. But what shook those closest to him even more was a feeling that his death did not make sense. Not the timing, not the explanation, not the rushed statements that followed. And now, with detectives revealing shocking new evidence, the world is forced to confront a terrifying possibility. Yu Menglong might have been targeted. For months, fans begged for transparency, but the story remained tightly sealed. Authorities insisted it was a medical complication. A heartbreak, yes, but a simple one. A tragedy, yes, but an ordinary one. Silence swallowed every attempt to ask questions. Those who dared to doubt were told to move on. But the truth has a strange habit. It leaks. It drips. It finds cracks in even the most carefully constructed lies. And now it has exploded. Detectives working privately on the case have uncovered evidence that changes everything. Evidence that paints a picture far more sinister than anyone expected. Evidence that suggests someone wanted Yu Menglong quiet. Someone wanted him gone. Someone who underestimated his courage but overestimated their ability to bury the truth. Detective Han Rue, a former cyber investigator known for his precision, was the first to sense the irregularities. He gained access to Menglong's digital archives, not the public ones, not the work-related ones, but the ones hidden behind layers of encryption. Files stored in a cloud space most people didn't even know he had. In those files, tucked away behind misleading folder names and disguised documents, he found something chilling, a folder titled Do Not Delete. Inside it were voice memos, screenshots, camera recording call logs, and notes. They were not random. They were deliberate. Each file had a timestamp. Each file had context. Each file was a piece of a puzzle only Menglong understood while he was alive. And together, they revealed the terrifying truth that he was investigating something before he died. Something he shouldn't have touched. In one of the voice memos, his tone is tired but cautious. He sounds like a man carrying a weight he knows he cannot drop. He says, "If you're listening to this, something has already happened." His breath shakes. He continues, "I didn't want anyone else to get involved. But if they come for me, someone must finish what I started." That recording alone shattered the idea that his death was natural. But the detectives dug deeper. Through Menglong's encrypted messages, they discovered he had been in contact with an anonymous whistleblower inside a major town agency, a whistleblower who vanished the same night Menglong died. Not resigned, not fired, not relocated. Vanished. No digital trace. No phone signal. Nothing but silence. Detectives found email drafts that Menglong never sent. In one, he wrote, "This is bigger than I thought. They threatened her. They're watching me, too. I'm scared." The her he was referring to appears to be a young actress, someone he privately tried to help, someone who was allegedly forced into a lifetime contract under manipulation and intimidation, someone who confided in him when she had no one else to trust. What Menglong uncovered while helping her was not one bad manager or one toxic contract. It was a network, a system rooted in exploitation, power, money, and coercion. He stepped into a battlefield without armor. Detectives believe that once Menglong realized how deep corruption ran, it was already too late. They found evidence of him being followed during his last weeks. Taxi records showed rerouted trips he did not approve. Building surveillance captured unfamiliar men lingering near his apartment. His neighbors reported seeing the same black van parked by his building for several nights in a row. The same van that disappeared hours before authorities announced his death. Still, what alarmed detectives the most was the attempt to wipe Menglong's digital footprint the moment news of his death spread. Someone tried to access his private accounts only he knew existed. Someone attempted to delete his cloud archives. Someone wanted every trace of his investigation erased. But they failed to delete the encrypted drive that contained the Do Not Delete folder. That folder is now the backbone of the reopened investigation. Among the files was a video recorded 2 nights before his death. In the video, Menglong sits in his apartment, lights dim, expression tense but determined. He says, I know what they want. I know why they're scared. But if anything happens to me, don't let this end here. Someone needs to know what's happening behind the scenes. It is the last video he ever recorded. Detectives cross-reference the documents, voice notes, and screenshots with corporate records and discover a pattern of hidden transactions between a major entertainment company and unknown offshore accounts. Transactions Menglong apparently stumbled upon while assisting the young actress. It became clear that he uncovered too much. He discovered the involvement of influential individuals who had operated unchecked for years. He found names, dates, and connections he was never supposed to see. And the more he learned, the more he tried to gather proof. But in doing so, he became a target. One detective stated off record, he didn't die because of a medical complication. He died because he knew the truth. Another commented, someone underestimated him, but they also underestimated us. We will not stop until this case is fully exposed. The industry is trembling. People who once spoke freely now whisper in corners. Those with connections to powerful agencies refuse interviews. Even colleagues who admired Menglong are scared to speak openly. One of his longtime friends admitted, he told me he felt unsafe. I thought he was overthinking. I didn't know he was protecting someone. If I had known, maybe I could have helped. Regret has become the shadow following everyone who once stood beside him. But regret won't bring him back. Only justice can honor him now. More evidence continues to emerge. Investigators uncovered inconsistencies in the autopsy report and contradictions in the statements from individuals who claimed to be with him that day. One person said Menglong was perfectly fine hours before his death. Another said he appeared extremely sick. Another claimed they were not even with him at the time. Yet surveillance footage shows otherwise. The lies are unraveling. And for the first time, the world is seeing that the truth behind Yu Menglong's death is far darker than the public was led to believe. What's even more disturbing is that detectives believe Menglong received threats days before he passed. They found a message in his deleted archives, restored through forensic recovery. The message read, "Stop digging or you won't like what happens." That was 3 days before he died. Fans who once mourned him quietly are now demanding answers. They want transparency. They want the case reopened officially. They want every name involved dragged into the light. They want justice for the young actress he was trying to save, for the whistleblower who disappeared, and for the actor who lost his life trying to protect them both. The detectives insist that Menglong did not die in vain. They believe he left enough clues to expose the network he uncovered, enough evidence to ignite an industry-wide reckoning, enough truth to shake the foundations of the entertainment world. They also believe the final piece of the puzzle lies in the person he was trying to meet the night before he died, the whistleblower who vanished. Whether that person is alive or gone remains a question no one has answered. But one thing is certain. The silence surrounding Yu Menglong's death is finally cracking. And with each crack, the truth grows louder. Was he targeted? All signs now point to yes. Was he silenced? The evidence suggests so. But can the truth still rise? Absolutely. Because Menglong, in his final days, refused to leave the world blind. He refused to let corruption win. He refused to walk away from someone who needed his help, even if it meant risking his own life. That is a legacy he leaves behind. Not just stardom, not just talent, but courage. Courage to fight for someone else. Courage to stand against something bigger than himself. Courage to leave behind a trail the world could follow even after he was gone. The aftermath of the detective's revelations did not bring peace. It triggered an earthquake. The entertainment industry, once wrapped in bright lights and carefully curated smiles, found itself drowning in fear, panic, and whispers that refused to die. The truth about Yu Menglong's death was no longer just a theory whispered by fans online. It was now a possibility backed by evidence, shaken confessions, and a trail of secrets powerful people never expected to resurface. But the continuation of this story does not begin with the detectives. It begins with the people who loved him. The morning after new evidence was revealed, Menglong's closest friend, someone who avoided cameras, interviews, and anything related to publicity, finally broke his silence. His hands shook, his voice cracked, And for the first time, the world saw a raw pain that no PR statement could hide. He admitted that Menglong had confided in him weeks before his death. Not directly, not clearly, but through hints, through restless nights, through glances over his shoulder, through his sudden mistrust in people he once called family. He said Menglong once told him, "If I disappear one day, it won't be because I wanted to." That sentence, once dismissed as a dark joke, now feels like a prophecy. Detectives continued digging, and what they found next sent chills through everyone following the case. They uncovered evidence that key individuals around Menglong had been meeting with executives tied to the same organization he was investigating. These meetings happened days before his death. Meetings hidden in private restaurants. Meetings erased from official schedules. Meetings that no one involved ever expected to come under scrutiny. But fate has a strange way of choosing when to reveal the truth. One of the restaurant's employees recognized a face from the photos detectives circulated. Quietly, anonymously, they reached out. They said those people seemed tense, whispered the whole night, constantly checked their phones, and left abruptly after receiving a message. That message, detectives believe, may have been related to Menglong. Still, the most heart-stopping discovery came from the recovered footage of the apartment building next to Menglong's residence, a camera that had nothing to do with his building, but everything to do with his truth. From the reflection of a window, investigators caught glimpses of two men entering Menglong's building around the time of his death. Their faces were blurred, their movements calculated, their timing too precise to be a coincidence. These were not random strangers. These were men who came with a purpose. Men who arrived without hesitation and left before dawn. The realization hit the world like a cold wave. Yu Menglong may have been confronted, not by fate, not by illness, but by the very people he was fighting to expose. And the question shifted from was he targeted to how far will those behind this go to remain hidden? Even more unsettling was the discovery of a second encrypted folder on his drive, not just titled "Do Not Delete," but "For When I'm Gone." It contained only one file, a voice recording. His voice was steady, heartbreakingly calm. He said, "If you're hearing this, then the story is no longer mine. It's yours. Don't let them twist it. Don't let them bury it. And don't let fear win." The world broke for him all over again. People who once stayed silent out of fear began speaking up. Former trainees, assistants, makeup artists, drivers. Each shared fragments of experiences, threatening calls, manipulated contracts, sudden disappearances of colleagues, demands to stay quiet. These fragments, once dismissed as gossip, now form a mosaic of a much larger nightmare. Detectives believe Menglong knew exposing the truth would cost him everything. What he didn't expect was how quickly his life would spin out of his control. But if he left behind anything stronger than fear, it was evidence. And now, the case is spiraling beyond the control of those who once ruled from the shadows. Authorities are being pressured to reopen the investigation. Journalists are circling. Fans are demanding accountability. International organizations are watching. A storm is coming. A storm Menglong started, even in death. Detectives say the next step is to locate the missing whistleblower. They believe this person holds the key to everything: the deals, the contracts, the threats, the people involved. Finding them could blow the case open in ways no one could stop. But the danger around the case is growing. Those involved are tightening their circles, deleting their tracks, silencing their connections. The detectives working privately on the case now receive anonymous messages, warnings, just like Menglong did. But they refuse to back down. One said, "If we stop, then he truly died for nothing, and we won't let that happen." The continuation of this investigation is no longer just about uncovering corruption. It is about honoring a man who risked everything to protect someone without power, a man who saw injustice and refused to look away, a man who left the world clues because he believed the truth must outlive fear. And now the world must decide. Will they let the truth fade, or will they carry it forward? This story is still unfolding. The evidence is still growing. The walls of silence are still cracking. And the truth is rising, loud, unstoppable, and furious. But one thing is clear. What Yu Menglong fought to expose will not remain hidden. Not anymore. Not after everything he sacrificed. Not after everything the world now knows. And as the case expands, one final question still burns. If he was targeted because he tried to save someone else, who will now fight to save him? This is where you come in. This story, his truth, deserves to be amplified, protected, and shared. And platforms like K-Drama Spark are the voice keeping these narratives alive, unearthing what others try to bury, and giving fans a place to demand justice, transparency, and honesty in a world built on illusions. If you believe Yu Menglong deserves the truth, if you want the next chapter, if you want updates as detectives uncover more shocking evidence, if you want this story to never be silenced, then you must take action right now. Hit the subscribe button on K-Drama Spark. Turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking update. Share this story so the world keeps watching. Comment to keep his memory alive. Like the video to push the truth into the algorithm. Become part of the movement demanding justice. Because together, we are louder than fear. Together, we are stronger than the silence they try to force upon him. And together, we will ensure that Yu Menglong's story continues until the truth finally wins.